Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Khidr Mazmi. Today we are going to talk about the development of the mass media in Indonesia. First thing, would like to introduce the historical background of the press. The first completely Indonesian newspaper, Medan Prijaji Official Dawn, began publication in 1907. Other newspapers of the early part of the century were Dharma Kondo, Surakarta, Java, Sinar Hindia, Semarang, Java, Outation Hindia, Surabaya, Java, Outation Borneo, Pontianak, Kalimantan, Benih Mardika, Medan, Sumatra, and Tijaja, Sumatra, Padang, Sumatra. Publishing business grew up in the Chinese Indonesian community. Some of the best known of these newspapers were Sinpo, Jakarta, 1910, which
Radio. Radio is arguably the most important medium in Indonesia. Its tones are heard in the market, the village, the rice paddy, and the minibus. The national radio station, Radio Republik Indonesia, or RRI, was founded in August 1945, almost as soon as independence was granted. During World War II, the Japanese occupational forces used radio as a major propaganda tool, and figures such as Sukarno and Muhammad Hatta, who were to become prominent in nation building, received wide coverage, becoming household names among villagers. One of RRI's first task was to encourage the Indonesian people in their struggle, as Dutch troops invaded the newly proclaimed republic. This struggle for freedom lasted for 4 years. In the early 2000s, RRI was headquartered in Jakarta with major relay stations in Medan, Sumatra, Yogyakarta, Banjarmasin, Makassar, and Jayapura. In 2002, RRI had 53 stations staffed by approximately 8,500 RRI's overseas program. Voice of Indonesia broadcast in 10 languages: Indonesian, Arabic, Malaysian, Mandarin, Thai, Japanese, Spanish, German, English, and French. Private radio companies were in operation since 1966. They were advised to include informative, educational, and cultural programs in their broadcasts. However, they were no longer required to carry news programs produced by RRI.
Television. Indonesian television history illustrated a medium finding its own way, going from one state-produced official channel to multiplicity of commercial channels. It included periods of time when advertising was banned as contrary to traditional values. Televisi Republik Indonesia (TVRI) began operation in 1964 and remained a major player despite the growing importance of commercial television. Since it enjoyed a long-standing monopoly with a mission of promoting the official viewpoint, it long remained in state of stagnation. The Indonesian government early on recognized the importance of television as a policy instrument and a tool to promote national unity in these far-flung islands. This insight drove the program to provide free television set to villages. To be able to reach the entire country, in 1974, Indonesia launched its communication satellite Palapa, Sanskrit for unity. TVRI was always hampered by a small budget, and the budget situation became even tighter in 1981 when the administration banned advertising from television. This was in reaction to the effect that advertising, Western, urban, and consumer-oriented, was having on village life. Indonesian fought first commercial television station, Rajawali Citra Televisi Indonesia (RCTI), began operation in March 1988, broadcasting first in Jakarta but later throughout the country. Of course, advertising was the very backbone of its existence. Corporate investments in the country and a huge consumer market with increasing amounts of money to spend put the greater part of their advertising budget into television. Since the only legal source of news was still TVRI, RCTI and other private broadcasters created what they call information programs until the Broadcasting Law of 1996 legitimated their news programs. RCTI carried several daily programs, morning nonsense, news of noon throughout Indonesia, and evening bulletins. These new programs, which had to compete for advertisers, carried higher entertainment values than TVRI. Surya Citra Television (SCTV) opened a few years later, also based in Jakarta. Its new program focused on national news, with international news accounting for about 10%. In August 1990, a third private station was licensed with the proviso that it focused on education. This station was Televisi Pendidikan Indonesia (TPI). It cooperated with TVRI extensively, with some of its advertising revenues going to TVRI.
Electronic news media. Before 1994, internet access was limited to a very few universities, research institutions, and government offices. In late 1994, the first commercial internet service provider, or ISP, Indonet, was established, and by 1997, some 41 ISPs had been licensed, although all were not in service. The fast growth of ISPs was in fact largely due to government policies encouraging such growth. The electronic news media were still in first flower when the opportunity came to test the genre in a specific way. In 1994, Tempo, a well-known news magazine, had its license to publish abruptly revoked by the government. Tempo had reported on controversy concerning the purchase of used East German warships. No opportunity was given the magazine to defend itself. The news came as a shock, and although Tempo did win an appeal, the final ruling gave the magazine no hope of publishing again. A little more than a year later, Tempo opened its electronic publication, Tempo Interactive. There was no official reaction from the government, except that the Minister of Information at the time, when asked about it in an interview, replied that individuals and organizations in Indonesia were free to set up a website to promote their own activities. Since the law did not require licensing of internet news sites, what he said was quite true. To conclude all the information, the strides made by the press after 1998 were tremendous, and there was a zeitgeist of energy and high expectation. The proliferation of the media at all levels, from a young man reaching up the writing from a rooftop, to operate his own radio station without registration, to a sophisticated urban news shows such as Metro TV, were exciting developments. Dangers to the press and thus to the citizenry included the age-old practice of envelope journalism, threats and intimidation by disgruntled groups, misuse of corporate power, and a return to the pressure on the media by the government in the absence of constitutional guarantees. Greater media penetration would encourage greater governmental responsiveness. Better journalist training would produce a more professional and, it was hoped, a more conscientious press. Public support for a free press and for freedom of information laws would be necessary. Institutions that complement a responsible media system include political parties that call for accountability on the part of public servants, effective judicial system, and self-regulatory press councils. If the media see it as their responsibility to keep the poor and marginalized people informed, to supplement school education, and to serve the interests of all people, they will make a vast contribution to the future of the Republic of Indonesia.